This video is brought to you by fishhuntshoot.com. For more and bigger trout, go to fishhuntshoot.com. It is time to wrap up level 1 of the trout trolling pyramid with a discussion of trolling plugs. What you're watching right now is you're watching me reel in a very nice Lake Davis rainbow that jumped all over a mag lip. He absolutely crushed it. The fish were aggressive that morning. They were chasing. I was running spoons. I was running flies. I tried that gold and orange mag lip. Boom, fish on. Now, I don't troll plugs as often as I troll spoons or flies, but nevertheless, plugs are an important part of my trolling arsenal, and I have a selection of plugs that will take me right across the speed ranges that we discussed, in relation to spoons. I've got plugs that I can pull fast and aggressively. I've got plugs that will work at middle speeds, and I've got plugs that will work at slow speeds, because that's my overriding philosophy. When I hit the water first thing in the morning, I want to be aggressive. I want to cover ground. I want to pull fairly large size lures. If that's not working, or even if it is, there's going to be a point when I need to slow down and downsize. I need some plugs that will work in that medium speed range, and I also need some plugs, some compact plugs that I can pull very slowly, something that's going to stay in the strike zone for an extended period of time. And in relation to plugs, I do all this work with 4 basic types of baits. If the trout are feeding on shad, let's say we're at Folsom or Shasta, maybe Collins Lake, Don Pedro. If the trout are up in the lake, typically you'll find this kind of action in the fall. If they're up and they're chasing shad, and I see them breaking on the surface, or I see those marks that indicate that the trout are very aggressively feeding on shad, I'll rig up with an FHS speed shad. I'll run that lure between 3 and 4 miles an hour. And when those conditions exist, you can absolutely mop up the rainbows on that plug. Problem is, you're not going to find those conditions every time you hit the water, but I still have those speed shad tucked away in the tackle box, because when I find those conditions, there are few of any lures that can keep pace with that speed shad when the trout are chasing, when they're blitzing bait. Same goes for largemouth bass, stripers. It's a very good shad imitation that you control. You can fish very quickly and very aggressively. I also have some minnow plugs in my tackle box. I don't fish the floating rapalas as much as a lot of other guys. I do troll them from time to time. Minnow plugs are a great fast presentation bait. They're just like my trolling spoons. They're like a trigger spoon or a speed spoon. You could troll them fast, you could troll them aggressive, you could cover a lot of water. For my money, I prefer the sinking versions of the minnow plugs, whether it's a Yozuri, a Countdown Rapala. I just feel like those are more versatile for times when I want to stop. I want to, maybe fan cast. Maybe I want to take a day off from lake fishing, go to a river. I mean, let's face it, plugs are fairly expensive, and a Countdown plug is just going to be a lot more versatile. It's got a lot more utility than a floating plug. Now, you may disagree with that. There are guys out there that absolutely love their floating Rapalas. I get it. For me, the Countdown lure, it gets the nod. You're looking at $7, $8, $9 for a plug, and I want maximum utility. Moving on, the mag lip. The mag lip is my absolute favorite all-around trolling plug for a couple different reasons. First of all, the mag lip has a skip beat action, which triggers strikes the fish. They come in, they see the plug is locked into its action, and all of a sudden it kicks out and the fish reacts and the fish strikes, okay? That's one reason I love the mag lip. The other reason I love the mag lip is they're super versatile in terms of speed. If I'm fishing a 2.0 mag lip, I can take it all the way down to about 1.5 miles an hour or even slower, and it will perform well. Conversely, I could take it all the way up to 3+ miles an hour. It won't start rolling. It's very effective at the high end of the speed range too, so it's very versatile. I could troll it aside of a speed spoon, or I could troll a mag lip aside of a threaded worm or a trolling fly or something like that. extremely versatile, extremely deadly. Most of the time these days when I reach for a plug, it's a mag lip. It's either a 2.0, 2.5, or a 3.0, depending on the size of the fish in the lake I'm fishing. But all of them, all the size categories, they're very effective lures. They were designed by Buzz Ramsey, and they are fish killers. Now, down at the lower end of the speed spectrum, and it's a plug I honestly don't use as much as I did in the past because I've kind of replaced it with trolling flies. But the old school traditional flatfish in the small sizes is an absolute deadly lure when the bite is off, when you want something that offers a ton of flash, a ton of vibration, but stays in the strike zone for an extended period of time. If you're looking for something you control between 1 and 1.5 miles an hour, the old school small flatfish is very tough to beat. They've been catching fish for 100 years or nearly 100 years. They're just dynamite, tons of flash, tons of vibration, and you can fish them extremely slowly. Those are the 4 plugs that I use, and I mix them into my arsenal on a regular basis. But having said that, just for me, you won't see me pulling plugs as often as I pull spoons or flies. When a lot of guys reach for their like a broken back Rapala, I'm reaching for one of my broken back trolling flies. So that's just me. But I think I absolutely know I need plugs in my arsenal, and you need plugs in your arsenal too. How do you rig them up? I almost never fish a plug with a Dodger or with flashers. I fish them naked 99% of the time. I always rig them on a fluorocarbon leader. I'll typically use a 40-inch leader, the same exact leader I use for trolling spoons. I want a 40-inch leader. I want it tipped with a cross-lock snap, 8 to 10 pound test fluorocarbon line because it reflects light at the same rate as water. That renders it virtually invisible, and that's how I rig up. Snap that leader on the trolling swivel on the end of your line, whether you're using a downrigger rod, a top lining rod, or a lead core rod. Put the plug at the other end, adjust your speed, get the plug in the water, and get ready to get a hard strike. And that's my final piece of advice. If you are pulling plugs, you want to make sure you've got your drag adjusted on the light side, because when you get hit with a plug, particularly when you're fast trolling a plug, the strikes are often extremely aggressive. You just saw me get slapped across the chest by a fishing rod. That was just an average size rainbow at Lake Davis in the afternoon. I had a little bit of breeze. I was pulling a mag lip, and that fish hit like an absolute freight train. To this day, that is the hardest trout strike I've ever gotten, regardless of the size of the fish that we're talking about. So this is a little bit shorter than the soft baits video or the fly video. Plugs, you need to have them, but if you're like me, you're not going to fish them as much as you fish some of the other baits. But when there's a plug bite going on, it's absolutely essential that you have plugs in your tackle box. If you're just going to buy one plug, invest in the mag lips. Absolutely the most versatile plug that you can buy. A very unique action, and you can fish them, all the way from 3 miles an hour all the way down to 1.5 miles an hour. They're available in a long list of colors, and we should close on color. When it comes to the color of the plugs I use, it's the same philosophy as the colors of the spoons I use. I like some dark colored plugs for early and late in the day and when I've got overcast conditions. If I'm at a bait fish lake, I like those chromes, chrome and blue, chrome and black, chrome and orange. But I also want some bright colors, whether I'm up in the high Sierras or sometimes even down in the valley at shad lakes. They just want a bright colored plug. For me, that means orange. For Wes, that means pink. But, long story short, you want some bait fish patterns, you want some dark patterns, and you want some bright colored, neon orange, neon pink, maybe chartreuse, depending on your preferences. It's the same philosophy as spoons, and I think every angler needs a frog pattern flatfish or a mag lip, especially if you fish the high Sierras a lot. I mean, what kind of a high Sierra trout guy doesn't have a frog pattern flatfish in his tackle box? Well, that's it for now, guys. We are finished with level 1 of the trout trolling pyramid. Those are my thoughts about plugs. I love pulling plugs. Some guys rely on plugs a lot more than I do. That's up to you. As you start to build your time on the water, your on the water experience, you're going to start to build confidence in different lures for different situations. For you, you might become a plug guy. I'm a spoon and fly guy, but that's going to be determined by time on the water, the lakes you're fishing, and the level of confidence you develop in the different baits that you're using. I'm out of here for now. I'm Kel Kellogg. If you're looking for gear, you know where to go. Get on over to fishhuntshoot.com. There you'll find all my spoons, flies, speed shad, and more. I'll catch you next time right here on YouTube, guys. Please take a second to hit that subscribe button, and I'm looking forward to talking to you real soon.